A few weeks ago, I took 40 people from all over the world sailing in the Caribbean. I was the captain of one of 5 boats, and I had a crew of 8. 8 crazy people trusted me to guide them through these islands, trusted me to show them a good time, and if things got rough, they trusted me with their lives. About midway into this journey, we were setting sail for an island just offshore, a place that we had never been. So I pulled out our map and our compass, and I showed everybody how we'd navigate to a place that we could not see. That's when it hit me. In navigation, there's a difference between true north and what's known as magnetic north. True north is the exact position of the North Pole. It's the top of a map. Magnetic north is where a compass points, and it turns out that a compass points to a different location altogether. On a map, the difference is just a few degrees between true north and magnetic north. So if you're out sailing for just a few hours, it wouldn't be a big deal. But things get interesting over the long run. If you were to set sail for hundreds or thousands of miles, and you didn't calculate that difference on the outset, you would end up in a completely different place altogether. Now, 10 years ago, I was in my last semester of college. I was 22 years old. I was living on a sailboat, and I had no idea what I was going to do after graduation. Or so I thought. I had no idea. It surprised no one when, the very next day after graduating, I started an ecotourism company. Now, the guiding aspect came easy to me. I've taken hundreds, if not thousands of people into the outdoors, by foot, by bike, by boat, you name it. But I had no idea what I was doing starting this company. I didn't know how to answer the phone as a professional. I couldn't negotiate contracts with the National Park Service. There was no roadmap telling me where to get started. And even if there was, 3 months into this, the greatest economic recession since the 1930s unfolded before my eyes. Eventually, the company failed. In the years following, I had to do whatever I could to make ends meet. I ended up working in summer schools. I taught environmental education. I worked for numerous startups. More recently, I've worked for MIT studying innovation. I've consulted for some of the world's largest foundations. Now, don't get me wrong. I was rebuilding my career, and I was happy about this, but I was changing jobs every couple of years. It turns out this is common among my generation. According to the US Department of Labor, millennials are changing careers every 4 years. Think about that. Every 4 years, we're changing entire careers, not jobs. It's insane. It's as if we're putting ourselves out into the unknown over and over and over. And so this should come as no surprise. Earlier this year, I quit my job. Again, to start a company. But this time things were different. I challenged the trajectory of my life. I wrote down my values, and I thought about what grounds me. Reflecting back on my journey, I've discovered 3 lessons that can help you go into uncharted territory, whether you're exploring the backcountry, you're between careers, or your company is at the forefront of innovation. The first lesson is, you already know your true north. It's not a challenge in finding it. The challenge is knowing the difference between your true north and that magnetic pull of society telling you to go every other direction. The second lesson is, along your path, obstacles will come along that'll force you off course. I couldn't have predicted the Great Recession. The trick is to adjust as quickly as possible, otherwise you can drift for months or years or decades. The third lesson is, if you ever get lost, and you will, great navigators lose true north. All you have to do is look behind you to see where you come from. When I was back on that sailing trip just a few weeks ago, I was sailing this group to this island that we had never been to before. And in this moment, I was on a ship I'd never sailed. I was with a crew with whom I'd never sailed with. I was headed to an island I'd never seen. But I knew we were on the right course, because all I've ever wanted to do is to guide people, to guide them on a quest of self-discovery into the unknown. Thank you.